blowing up bushels of fun. Now the jingle hop has begun. Jingle bell, jingle bell rock. Jingle bells chiming, jingle bell time. Dancing and prancing in Jingle Bell Square. In the frosty air, what a bright time. It's the right time to rock the night away. Jingle bell time, it's a swell time to go gliding in a one-horse sleigh. Hanging up the jingle horse, pick up your feet. Jingle all around the clock. Mix and mingle in a jingling beat. That's the Jingle Bell Rock. Jingle bell, jingle bell, jingle bell rock. Jingle bell time and jingle bell time. Dancing and prancing in Jingle Bell Square. In the frosty air.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome. Thank you for joining us for today's webinar. My name is Kasturi from Unilever Food Solutions, which is a business built by chefs, so we know what you face every day in the kitchen. Everything we do is focused on making your life a bit easier. Our presenter today is the Culinary Chef Experience Advisor of Unilever Food Solutions, Gauteng, Chef Pinky. Today, she will be joined by Chef Mvula and Chef Zane, where they will discuss their pain points as caterers. Now, without any further ado, I'm going to hand over to Chef Pinky, but just a little housekeeping before we get started. If you have any questions during the presentation, please type them into the question box. The chefs will answer them after the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Kasturi, and welcome, everybody. As Kasturi said, my name is Chef Pinky Maruping, and I am the Culinary Experience Chef Advisor for Unilever Food Solutions in Gauteng. So today, everybody is going on holidays. There's festivities everywhere, and sometimes people don't want to cook. They would want to get an events caterer. So today, I've got two beautiful ladies, professional chefs that are going to give us the insight about event catering. So I would love that you ask them questions on the chat box there, or you can ask me a questions, but please, let's engage. Let's make sure that you pose your questions. And I see Snetemba has already done that, and I've replied because we're not live yet. But without no further ado, I will introduce Chef Mvula. We're still waiting for Chef Zana. Chef Zana has got network issues. Welcome and thank you, and it's an honor that you agreed to share your insights. Chef Mvula is from NREP Consulting, which is an event, but I would like her to introduce herself because it's better when she does it. Thank you. Take it away, Chef Mvula.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Pinky, for giving me this opportunity. Nomvula Radebe, which everyone used to call me, or everyone called me Chef Mvula. So I'm from the company called NREP Consulting. Under that umbrella of NREP Consulting, we then birth NREP Foods. So I'll be representing NREP Foods. Thank you.
Okay, so Chef Mvula, so where do you get your menu inspiration when you do your recipes?
Oh, okay. I always buy from the bookshop some of the books, the cookbooks that are already there, and sometimes I go to Pinterest. Sometimes I watch the food channel, and then I will improvise it and make it as my own signature recipe. Yeah.
Oh,
sometimes
I like
it just creates a dish out of
And
the
inspiration.
shortage of the ingredients, then I'll create a dish. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, here's Chef Zana. I see Chef Zana. Chef Zana, can you switch on your webcam? There's a little talk on top. Can you see it?
I can't see it.
It's on top of your name at the top there. You just toggle it to the right-hand side and then you open it up. Like you slide it.
Is that better? No.
No.
Still off.
All right. Well, sorry I was a little bit late, ladies, but it's so lovely to be here. And I'm glad that you can hear me nonetheless. I'm going to try to put the camera on so you can see me, but let's continue in the meantime.
Okay, so welcome, Chef Zana. And please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you.
Hi, everybody. I am Chef Zana Alvarado. I'm a culinary consultant, a chef, and a caterer. I also do quite a lot of online cooking classes and in-person cooking classes, private chef dining experience. And yes, what can I say? I'm in the culinary industry for a number of years now and really enjoying it.
All right, thank you, Chef Zana. So I just asked Chef Mvula to, tell us, where do you get your inspiration when it comes to your menu? Where do you get your inspirations from?
Generally, my cooking or my menus are, or my life in general is very influenced by the travel experiences that I've had. I've had the good fortune to actually live abroad and travel widely. And one of the things that I really enjoy about it is learning about different cultures, primarily the food of different cultures, because I believe that every dish tells a story. And that influences my cooking style quite heavily. There's lots of things that I enjoy from different cuisines worldwide, but also very driven by the whole sustainability movement and the farm to table movement also.
Mm-hmm. You know what? You just touched on sustainability. I think maybe I was going to ask this question later, but let's talk about food wastage. As you know, food wastage is very close to my heart because, it pains me when I see somebody throwing away food. And then on the other hand, there is a family that is, child-headed. There is nobody there, or it could be a normal family, but they spend days or, even a week without proper nutritional food. And then here we are, I see somebody wasting food. So I'll start with you, Chef Zana. What's your take on food wastage when it comes to event catering?
I think, that is a very... it's a double-edged sword. As a caterer, you have to know how much you prepare and you have to calculate accordingly. Of course, have a little bit of leeway for extras. You don't want to run short of food. But at the same time, I think that when you're looking at food wastage in a kitchen, be very specific about how much you purchase and in your production. That way you need to monitor everything. Food wastage is a very big issue in the restaurant industry on the whole, not just for caterers. And there's large amounts of food that is tossed away at the end of every day. And, at the end of the day, not only is it mouths who could be fed that are not getting it, but it translates to a financial sense as well, because you spend money to purchase those foods. And at the end of the day, it's money going down the drain or into the bin, so to speak. When it comes to food wastage, I think the biggest thing is planning. As a caterer or a restaurateur or an up-and-coming person in the food industry wanting to sell food for a career or a business, you need to look specifically at your menu, what you need, how much of it is you need, and planning is the key. That's the only way you're going to minimize wastage. And Chef Pinky, it's not only food that goes to waste, it's resources as well. It's things like energy usage in a kitchen, it's water usage, things like dripping taps is a wastage. It's the wastage of water. And if you think about it, at the end of the day, I did a course recently on sustainability in the food industry with the World Chefs Association. And one of the things that really jumped out at me was how quickly does it take to fill a tot glass with water? Now, tot glass is generally about 30 mils of water. It takes 12 seconds. Now, if you times that by a 24-hour day, you're losing a couple of thousands of liters of water, right? It was some ridiculous amount, which translates into a monetary value as well. So it's twofold. It's people that could otherwise use the food to eat, and also the financial aspect, the implication of it. If you find that you are having food wastage, perhaps you're not planning adequately enough, you need to relook how you're doing things in the kitchen and budget accordingly in terms of how much you're purchasing. Always look for things that are going to go the longer way. For example, don't go and buy 20 lettuces if you need to make 3 salads. Lettuce doesn't last very long. You've got a couple of days in the fridge and it's going to go brown. And also,
so you need to look at your perishables as well,
definitely,
and take it from there.
100%. And then also use as your long life events as well, your long life ingredients. And if you find that you're still having the problem, then you're welcome to speak to a professional for some advice or some help. But more than that, you also, if there's, say you do a big event and people say they're coming and half of them only pitch up and you're left with that food, it doesn't go to waste. You don't throw it away. Find a children's home or an adoption facility that you can actually donate it to. And in Johannesburg, there's many of them in dire need of food. So it's not a case of, I have to throw this food away, what a waste. It can always be put to good use. And then also repurpose things, reuse things, find a new way to use the same ingredients so it doesn't go to waste. So
I like that.
Say, for example, you've got an abundance of carrots because you estimated incorrectly and you bought more carrots than you need and you don't know what to do with it. You needed it for a salad. Now take it and make a carrot cake with it. Alternatively, juice it and make fresh juices with it. So there's lots of ways you can actually repurpose it, the same ingredient, and get back what you spent on it. And of course, hopefully make your profit on it.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. And Chef Mvula, I'm not going to ask you about food wastage, but then, because yes, she said it also, but not making profit, after a function, it might be the reason, one of the reasons it might be food wastage. But I think maybe, what about costings and pricing? So, if you're not costing properly, or how do you do it? How do you make sure that you've got a balance for you at the end of the day to have a profit after an event?
Okay. Firstly, to answer your question, I will start by saying that I normally don't charge per person. I charge per cost of the event. It's up to the client if she will or they will individualize it per person. And I always train my people, try to make them understand, my clients, that charging per person, it doesn't make sense in most of the events. But charging per cost of the project, it makes a business sense in that way. Number one, from you going to buy that those ingredients and the other products that you need, the groceries, you need to take the car. The car goes with the diesel or the petrol. It starts from there.
Fuel prices.
Yes, and fuel prices. Yes.
It has
and from there, it's the food that I'll be buying for the event, for that particular event. Beside the food, remember that we use, some of us use some electricity, some of us use the gas stove. So I also put that cost of the electricity that I'll be using, especially the ovens, and then the stoves that I cook with, it's gas stove. So to refill those gas cylinders, it's money. So it's another cost. So that's why I always try to run away from pricing per person instead of the event.
But then do you usually do a huge profit, or is it just average profit? How happy are you with your profit?
At the moment, from after I have gone and do some programs from South African Chef Association, which was funded by the what is it called? The oil.
The EDPs, after you've
Yes,
done the EDPs.
yes. After
Yes.
I've done that, I've learned. We went to HTA, and then they taught us how to do the costing. Ever since then, I've never do the wastage because I know how to cost my products very well or in a very appropriate way. And I am now making, I won't say a huge product, but
a healthy profit.
Yes, yes, yes.
So you're making a healthy profit.
Yes, yes, healthy profits. I'm not complaining with my profits.
So, chefs, let's say here is somebody who has been doing event catering and then there is no profit. How would you advise them to do how would you estimate or do costing on a costing sheet or or on a template? Chef Zana?
So I do have a template that I actually use, which I created that works for my business. I think every business will work differently, but essentially it's the same. Your cost estimate is essentially what your projected cost of a project is going to be. And once you have a project, you have to sit down and, as much as many of us hate admin, and I'm one of those who just don't like admin, we have to sit down and we have to, put our heads on the paper and kind of work things out, as mundane as it seems. And that's the only way we're going to keep afloat and actually make a profit. So that kind of costing and having that kind of spreadsheet to see what your expenses are, what your assets are, that kind of thing really helps as well.
Okay, fantastic. So, I think maybe let's go to ingredients, products. So here you're an event caterer. So how do you choose the ingredients that you put in your menu or in your recipes or that you use to make a dish? How do you choose that? Because there's a lot of brands, and whether you use convenience products or you do scratch, it really doesn't matter. But then how do you get to choose the products, whether it's on e-commerce or when you go into store or you order? How do you get to choose that? Chef Mvola?
Okay. I'm a person that doesn't mind tasting things. So whatever that they are bringing on shelf, I will take it, and if they don't have a recipe at the back, then I will just create my own recipe. And then if that thing lasts longer, then it will be my product. I will use it as my product. So what my answer is, to check how to use the products, which one you should use, is to explore, just to taste everything. And it's very
so it's all about the taste. So you get to explore, try new things, and then from there you go in and try the product,
mix
and
it
then
your own. And as long as you find your signature, then it goes.
All right. Expensive products versus house brands. Chef Zana.
I'm going to say,
what's your take on that?
Expensive products are not always superior products. I look for brands that have quality, that have stood the test of time, that have delivered time and time again. And I'm not one that actually follows, the label. If it's got a high, big name that's well known worldwide because of its marketing campaigns, etc., it doesn't necessarily speak to me as, it doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to go and buy that one just because it has a name. I'm not a name brand person. I look for quality. And sometimes the house brands have amazing quality products that are just as good as the name brand products. In fact, sometimes even better. So I think it comes down to the taste. It also comes down to the quality that you are looking for and what is suitable for the menu or the style of your catering. With regards to how I choose products, if I'm doing a menu, that I prefer to use seasonal products. Number one, because when they're in season, there's an abundance of it. You know that it's fresh. You can buy a lot more at a better price than if they're out of
Mm-hmm.
season. So when it comes to freshness, I mean, it can't be beat. And when it comes to long life products, I generally do look at labels, and by labels, I don't mean names. I mean the quality of the ingredients, what's in that box, what's in that sachet, if I'm using it. How much of preservatives does it have? How much of artificial flavorants and colorants does it have? I am the type of chef that tries to look for the more natural things with the least amount of preservatives and artificial flavorants in it. I'm not saying that it's bad. It's just that it's my personal preference for my style of cooking. But if I have to use something, I would use something that's totally based on the taste, its quality, the mouthfeel, and that will determine what I choose on a shelf.
Thank
And
you. So
of course,
now,
and of course, if you're doing that, I mean, don't go out and buy it on the very same day that you need to use it without knowing what it tastes like. Plan a couple of days ahead. Go out to the shops, get what you want, test it at home, check that it's the right consistency, tweak it if you need to, and then feel comfortable enough to use it.
nah, that's good. That's exactly what Chef Mvula said. That
As
like
well,
you need to test it first. You need to go out and explore. And you spoke about something that like I want to ask about the dietary requirements that your clients are asking. What type of dietary requirements do you get? Chef Mvula?
Okay. In that regard, I always have more ingredients in my kitchen to avoid such, because you learn and then you try and practice. If something comes up like what happened previously, then you are able to correct it, or you are able to solve it without any struggling or something. So I always have many ingredients, more ingredients in my house, just to, especially the perishable. When I buy for that particular event, or when I buy for that particular catering, I make sure that I buy more, even things that were not on the list, but I just buy it in case of those dataries.
But then what do people request? Do they request vegan? Do they request
Yes, they
lactose
request the vegan,
intolerant?
the halal, and then the vegetarians. That's the mostly with the halal, since I don't have a certificate. So what I normally do, I just go to the shops or the restaurant that they sell halal food. Then I will then
And then you
serve.
place an order there.
Yes.
But then,
To make,
that's safe. Unlike saying to your client that this meal is halal or kosher while it's not. So you have to be,
yes,
but
do the right thing.
just do the right thing. And Chef
Yes.
Zana, on the same question,
I am.
dietary requirements.
Yes, so halal is generally what I generally cater. I'm a halal caterer. And I get a lot of requests for vegan and vegetarian, sometimes
Yes.
keto, but not very often. But I think, there's a whole worldwide movement moving towards plant-based eating. And a lot of people are, awakening up to the benefits of plant-based for a variety of reasons, from health to environmental. So most recently, that has been my biggest request. I find a lot has been happening with regards to that. And it's quite nice as well, because it helps me to diversify, helps me to look at new ways to do things, and to try to create classic dishes to suit those dietary requirements.
No, thank you. So what is the most outrageous request that you ever received from your client, Chef Mvula?
It's the one that, can I trust you? I think that's the most outrageous.
So they actually don't trust that you can pull it off.
No, for not my regulars. My regulars, they trust me very well. But
Yes, but
the
a
one,
new
like
client.
the first time client, client, can I trust you? I once have an event with so and so, and then he never deliver. So
So
yeah,
they
it's
always
less pressure.
compare you to somebody else.
Yes, no, not really. To someone else that did the wrong thing,
Wrong things, yes.
previously. So
Yes.
yeah. But
And
other than
Shazana,
that,
other than that, everything is fine.
no, everything is
Oh, so the strangest request I ever had, and this is something I've never made, don't think I ever will make, was somebody wanted to know if I could cater shark fin soup.
Wow.
Shark
Where are you
fin
gonna get
soup. So that is,
shark
so
fin soup in
I mean,
Joburg?
first of all, shark fin soup is like a traditional Chinese dish, right?
Yes.
So I do some Chinese, but I've never tried to work with shark before, and I don't think I ever will. And for me, it was a case of, oh no, I'm definitely not going to do that. So I'm a brand ambassador for SASSI, which is the Southern African Sustainable Seafood
Yes.
Initiative, where we work a lot with, scientists and marine biologists on the preservation of our natural coastline, and we deal specifically with red listed, orange listed, and green listed seafood. So what seafood is good to buy that won't harm our oceans? And of course, shark, I mean, it's endangered. We might have a lot of them out there, but they're endangered. And obviously, I'm not going to cook with that. So for me, that was like the most outrageous request.
Oh, that's yeah. I guess you get those
yeah.
weird, But then,
Yes.
what makes a good caterer, Chef Mvula?
For me, I will say it's you have to deliver the quality, the affordability, and the sustainability. Those are very important things. And you must know the hygiene. Hygiene is
Yes.
the most important thing in our field,
Because
in our
definitely
industry.
sometimes,
Without
how many people do you usually, what's the biggest number you've ever catered for?
5,000 people.
So definitely hygiene is very important, because
It's very
can you
important.
imagine if those 5,000 people get food poisoning?
Exactly, contamination, and it's
Yeah.
all over. It's all over if you're not gonna mind and be very strict with hygiene. So it's a number one. It's a number one in the industry, in our industry.
So how often do you train your staff when it comes to personal kitchen hygiene and personal hygiene?
When we're not working, we do our training, in-house training. Yes, we do it. Yeah. And some of them are firefighters. I've got 4 firefighters, and I've got 4 first aiders. So we make sure,
So
and
your
those
team
groups, they have
is
to be,
all good.
it has to be renewal on a yearly basis. So every now and then we change them. If you were a firefighter the previous year, you will become a first aider, and then those who were the first aiders, they will become the firefighters, something like that, so that they will all know how to work in that kind of an environment. If something come out like fire or something, or someone cut his finger or her finger, they must know what to do, or someone just get a shock and
Pass out.
just fair pass out. Yeah.
Yes. Chef Zana, how flexible or creative are you when you get, those guests with last menu changes? You've already shopped, you've already planned, and then they give you a call in a panic mode. They want to change this and how do you do it, Chef Zana?
Well, when I started out in the industry, I had a lot of those, and they used to really stress me out. And then I realized I've got to be a little bit smarter, because things like this affect my planning, it affects my budgeting, and it also stresses you out big time. Now, when you are in the kitchen, you're working with sharp equipment, you've got a team around you, you've got hot utensils, you need to keep your cool, you need to be calm, and that stress level needs to try to not be there, if I could put it that way. So I came up with a method whereby when the client approves the quotation, on the quotation is also terms and conditions. And under those terms and conditions, I have a 7-day window period where it specifies last date for menu changes. And that leaves me 7 days to implement any changes. That way, it can't happen. And also cancellation. If you cancel 24 hours, you're liable to pay in full. If you cancel about 5 days before, it's a 50%, because shopping has been done, training has been done, implementation has been done. So there has to be
So
those
there's some work that has been done already.
Yeah, for example,
Yeah.
I mean,
Terms and conditions.
yeah, I've got a private chef dining experience today, for example, this evening for dinner. And the last menu change would have happened last week, Tuesday. So that gives me enough time to plan and change and get new ingredients if I need to, and make sure that the client is also happy with what I'm going to do. And that way, staff knows what they're going to do, and there's no panic mode at the last minute.
I like that.
And to add
And
on
then,
that,
yes, Chef Mvola.
to add on what Chef Zana is saying, if you are professionally so, people must know that you have to put your terms and condition in place. So in that regard, you won't be that kind of a chef that will be doing the runaround for the last minute. People, they will know 7 days prior to your event that everything
You
has
can
to be
change
set
it.
as yes.
So
Yeah,
you need to log it in before,
Yes,
and
before,
that's
yes,
it. Planning is done and you're ready to go.
That's
yes.
correct. And then when you do speak to your clients, speak to them on the phone and explain to them, look,
Yeah,
this is
and make your
very
life easier as well.
Yeah, speak to them so they know and mention it to them. And then on the day, please send them a WhatsApp reminder to say, please note today's the last day for menu changes. Please let me know by close of business. Just to
Okay.
cover yourself that you know now communicated 3 ways via the quote, telephonically, and WhatsApp. So no one can come back and say, I didn't know.
Yeah,
Because that's the
because you
other
were
thing.
very proactive.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You have to protect yourself in that sense.
Okay, we have Sinetemba. Sinetemba says, I have so many questions. So Sinetemba, can you please type in your questions? And then once we're done with the discussion, we'll go through your question and ask the chefs, and hopefully they can help you. Okay, so COVID happens, chefs,
Yes.
and yeah, it caused a turmoil. So now, whether before or after, or even now, how do you balance between the busier season and the quiet season?
If you're asking me, you have to look outside the box, because that's what COVID taught us. Now we came up with, we are now doing the sauces, our very own sauces in-house from Endrep Food. So in that case, those sauces are sold on a daily basis. So even if it's dark days, we don't feel that it's dark days, because we've got something that is
That is going,
that we are
yes,
pushing
that's
on
bringing
the side.
income.
Yes. So my answer will be, you have to look out of the box of the
What you're currently
catering.
doing.
Yes, but
Yes.
something that is relating to what you are doing, but in a very different way. Another thing is to save or to buy a lot of non-perishable.
In bulk, so buy in bulk.
Yes. So whenever you get a job on the dark days, you know that you're going to buy only the perishables. Then you will then make a more than what you've been doing when you were busy, the profit wise, because you won't be buying the non-perishables and other stuff. You'll be just strictly focusing on the perishable only. So the money that will come out will be for buying the perishable and paying
Only.
the assistants. That's all. Yeah.
And then, Chef, you said the non-perishables. So how important is shelf life of a product to you?
It's very important. It's especially how you're storing your food. For me, that's the number one concern, because you can be a chef that people out there, they think she's professional. When you go and see how they store their food, the storing
It's
your
very
food is
details,
very,
because then definitely you have to store your food properly. But if you are not sure how to store your food properly as an event caterer, remember Unilever Food.com, and there's some resources there that can help you on how to store your food, the temperatures, the basic cooking methods, and there's a lot of guidelines on recipes that you can take and use it or make a signature dish out of. I think somehow we have one thing, Chef Zana. Do you provide a sampling or a tasting menu when you consult with your clients?
I sometimes do. It all depends on what the menu is and what the client actually wants. It also depends on the event it's going to be for. Generally, a lot of people have, or most of my clients have actually tried my food at various events, and I find that is where I get a lot of my clients from. So samples are not necessary. For new clients, depending entirely on the menu. For example, if somebody wants a taco bar, I can't really do a sample of that because there's so much that goes into it. But if it's a specific plated meal, yes, definitely.
So if I am trying to open an event catering, and because people have never tasted it for me, so what would you advise me to do?
You would have to market yourself very well and probably do a small event, a launch event to introduce yourself to people and supply your goods or your food so people can have tasters and do little bite-sized pieces. So it shows your flair, shows your creativity, shows your quality. People taste, they ask questions, and then hopefully you have a whole lot of business leads coming out of that.
Yeah,
So
the launch of your business will be the greatest marketing.
Oh, so you gotta do maybe like a launch party whereby you invite people and then you do small tasters so that they can taste and see what you're capable of.
Yeah.
Okay,
Also,
fantastic.
But just that said as well, when it comes to your launch, be specific about who you are inviting to your launch. Don't just invite family and friends.
Yes,
Because
you must know your target market.
you must know your target market and target
Very
people
important.
who are throwing parties, hosting events at their homes, hosting events for their corporate companies, etc. Because ultimately, a lot of people start businesses with high hopes, thinking, "Oh, my family and friends will support me." 90% of the time, family and friends doesn't. And I recently heard someone say, and this is so true, your client will become a friend quicker than your friend will become a client. And that is true in any business. That is so true in any business. So target the people, sit down and make a list of who you want there. What are the type of companies? Do you want to go to corporates? Fine. Then invite the marketing people from the corporates to come and sample your menus to your launch party. That kind of thing is what you need to look like. It forms part of your business strategy of how to get your business out there.
Yeah, and also have your 3 to 4 signatures of your own dishes when you. Yeah, it's very important.
Okay, dishes that you know that with them I can win any crowd.
Yes.
So you need to make sure that you curate this. All right, so we've got a question here from Sinetemba, and Sinetemba says, what advice would the chefs have for an individual wanting to start their own events catering company that wants to accommodate everyone's palate?
Well, could I go ahead with that one?
Sure.
I think to say everyone's palette is a very wide palette. It's a very wide portfolio to put in your hands.
Yeah.
It's true. You can't please everyone all of the time. And very often when caterers try to do that, we end up spreading ourselves too thin. So my advice would be is to find your niche. Find a niche market, something that somebody else is not doing, something that's uniquely you. That way, you're the only one that's doing it. If you want to do chicken wings, find a new and better way to do chicken wings and open up a whole chicken bar. And you specialize as the person who does the best chicken wings in the country. Make that name for yourself by concentrating on your niche, focusing and giving it your all.
Yeah, I agree with you because you can't please everybody. You cannot please everybody, but I agree with you. Finding your niche and every event is totally different, and you
Yes.
can you can actually do a variety of palettes for different peoples, but it all depends on the event. So today it could be a traditional food, traditional menu. Tomorrow it could be an Indian menu. Tomorrow
Of
it could be
Korean
a
cuisine. Yeah.
fusion. Or you can.
It
It's
differs.
just
That's it.
you need to make sure that you know who it is for.
Exactly. So what I'm saying is, if you have an event and somebody says cater my event, don't put a menu where you've got, traditional. You've got the hard body chicken, then you've got something Italian, you've got biryani, you've got Japanese.
Ah,
No, you can mix. You can't
Don't
mix.
make your menu look
No,
like
you
a fruit
can't
salad.
mix.
You can't mix, because
If
that
you're
way you'll.
going for traditional, you must be traditional. If you're going for a Korean cuisine, you must be a Korean cuisine. If you're going for Mediterranean, you must do the Mediterranean dishes.
Yes.
That's very important. And
That's
knowing
okay.
what the event is about, it's very important.
So
And
the theme of the event,
yes, the theme, yes.
that will help you and guide you on what
Guide
kind of
you
menu
very,
you would
yes.
do. Okay.
Perfect.
So Sinetemba, again, he says, or I don't know whether she or he, what is the usual criteria for choosing your team members? Is it experience or them having expertise in a particular field, or does it depend on the event?
That's
How
depend
do
on
you
the event.
choose your team members?
For me, my team members, I choose them. I use the students sometimes.
So you
From the
give
culinary.
opportunities to
Yes,
the
yes,
students.
yes, because I have to plow back to the community. So I
Yes.
try and move away from people that don't know anything related to what we are doing, what the industry is all about, and try and make sure that I use those culinary schools students to come and be part of us, and we pay them accordingly, and then that's how I choose my team.
I like that because, you're giving them an opportunity, and it's like fast-paced, hands-on. There's
Yes,
nothing better, and they're doing what they love. And you don't
exactly.
have time for training, So
No,
using the students, although you will still lead them, but then I guess, I like that idea.
They have
yes,
the
and
basics.
another
Students.
thing, I always go to South African Chef Association just to book a class that will be related on what the upcoming event is all about. Like last week, like this coming week, we have to do some catering with the street food, burgers, pizzas, and all that. So I then
So you're
call
always updating yourself on
yes,
trends.
yes. And then I'll take all of them, and then I will pay for them, and then they'll get some proper training from UJ, South African Chef Association. So
Ooh, please
that's
pay
how
for me. Can I work for you?
sure you can.
Chef Zana, how do you choose your team?
Pretty much the same way that Chef Mvula does. I do believe in giving back to the community. And again, when you're busy, you don't necessarily have time to train. So the students come with the basics. They know the basics of how to do things. So in that sense, it makes it easier. And also the students need to have a platform to get into the industry. And very often, some people don't like to employ if you don't have experience. But my question is, how are they going to get the experience if we don't give it to them?
Where do you expect them to get the experience from? Yes.
Exactly. So I have a combination of both. I have a combination of people that are skilled and trained and qualified chefs that I work with, but I also have a fair amount of students on my team as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I like exposing them to different ideas, giving them a hands-on to go and speak to clients, do face-to-face interaction, work the events with me, and kind of hold their hands to the process, because they can see, how it works from the ground up. And they learn, they move on, they move to something else. They feel a little better equipped to do what they need to do.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you. Sinetemba, I think, is very satisfied. It says, thank you, chefs. This is very insightful. And that's exactly what we wanted to do. Getting the people who are doing hands-on all the time to give us these insights. And Kim is saying, good, insightful conversations, chefs. Refilwe, very interesting topic. Mary, Chef Mvula, some great guidelines. So thank you, ladies. Thank you very much. And I'm hoping that you get more events this festive season and make a lot of chankura. And everybody out there also, there is a recording after this. You can go to ufs.com and you will see the previous digital masterclasses, and you can click on any of them to see which topic interests you. So, but ladies, thank you very much.
I must apologize. Thank you, Chef Pinky. And I must apologize to everyone that I couldn't get my camera to work. For some reason, the webcam wouldn't connect. But I'm glad I could participate and you could hear me. But thank you very much, everybody. And thanks, Chef Pinky, for this opportunity.
Thank you, Chef Mvula.
Thank you, Chef Pinky. Thank you so much for such an opportunity. And with looking at some messages, which means this was an important webinar. Thank you so much. Thank you.
No, thank you. Chef Mvula, what's your social media handles?
On my social media handles, the Instagram is chef_Mvula, MVULA.
Yes.
And my Facebook page is Mvula's Ratebe. But I'm not that much active on Facebook. If you need to see me on
Instagram.
Yes.
Chef Zana, what's your Insta and your social media handles?
So on Facebook, you can find me, Chef Zana, ZANA. I have typed it into the panel there for you as well. And on Instagram, it's at chef_Zana. So at chef_Zana on Instagram and TikTok, and then Chef Zana on Facebook.
Thank you very much, everybody. This is our last webinar for the year. I'm so excited for festive season, and I think everybody is. There's no COVID. Oh, touch wood. So we're going to go out there. We're going to be in events, and you can follow me on Instagram, and my Instagram handle is at Chef Pinky Dread. Thank you, everybody, and see you next year. Happy Christmas and a prosperous New Year.
Thanks,
Bye, everyone.
Thanks, Teboho.